Today we're going to talk about custom weapons. Now, before we get into that, just want to reiterate, my streams, I'm not going to show you technical stuff. That's more Bob and Moose. I'm not really going to show you artsy stuff. That's more Nini. I focus on props. I focus on functional, usable items. And, you know, if they end up looking good, well, that's a bonus. So with that said, here's some weapons I've been working on. Now, when you're making a custom weapon, first of all, you got to remember objects that you can grab, such as this fire poker. They have hard-coded hold points, like the handle, and they're all basically a handle. The dagger, it's got a handle. That's got a handle. The crossbow, even the bow, in fact, the center is the handle. Where's crossbow? Crossbow has a handle, but it's actually at a bit of an angle, and it does actually hold it at that angle. So, whenever you have an object like that, and you go to paste them together, you have to kind of be careful. This is actually a good example. So I made this crossbow with some bayonets on the front. And if I just left it like this, if I just glued these props together, and I had the character come grab it, well, I've got 3 grab points on this. I've got the handle of the crossbow, and I have 2 knives. And I'm not exactly sure how it determines which one of those it wants to grab, but every time I did that, it grabbed one of the knives. And that looked completely unnatural, obviously. So the easiest method of getting rid of that problem is to make an invisible weapon and either attach or glue it to that. And in the case of having multiple hold points, attach is always better, because once you attach your assembly to an invisible item, it will only ever use the hold point of the invisible item, as I will show you here. So that looks natural. Although I don't have it coded to shoot at the moment for some reason. So there you have it. It'll actually shoot from the invisible item, and it will just use your assembly aesthetically, I guess. And it does actually do damage, just like normal. So very, very simple. Doesn't take a whole lot. Here I got a custom gun made out of some posts and some rope and some other random stuff. Which I haven't actually figured out. Still tinkering with this. I just made this right before the stream, but as you can see, you can actually get a lot of variety out of the, I guess, relatively limited amount of props we have at the moment. But I'm sure it'll get better. But you get the idea. So just to go through and show you some. This all started because I'm making a game, and it's going to be, I guess, sort of an item-based progression, survival adventure type game. So I wanted to get increasingly dangerous weapons. So your first weapon is going to be this regular wooden club that you get off a piece of wreckage. And then as you progress through the game, you find increasingly dangerous types of weapons, which I don't really know the progression. Besides the fact that I'm starting with that wooden club, I don't really know the progression yet, but that's not actually important. So as you can see, you can actually get a lot of variety. Kind of a standard morning star. What else? I think a lot of people probably have seen this on my witch before. Just a basic staff. So then, I progressed from standard melee weapons. Well, you can see the big one too, even though this... I can't shrink this one down anymore due to... I think it's the wooden logs at the ends, but I can't shrink it down anymore. But I figured that'd be pretty cool for kind of a large boss, or maybe once they release the trolls or something. But anyway, okay, so the melee weapons progressed into, well, what about kind of alternative ranged weapons? So I made these wands. And it was a little bit tricky. I'll show you how they're built. So, I knew I wanted the wands to shoot, but I started with the crossbow, and it made the animation for shooting really nice. It kind of held out the wand and he shot out of it, and it was pretty cool. The problem is, you get the crossbow shooting sound, and even after cranking the sound down to 0, it still shot with the crossbow sound. So I didn't really like that too much. So what I did was put a dagger on there. Oh, that's the other thing. When you have the crossbow and you try to melee, I'll just show you. I'm not sure why, but when you try to melee, you get this weird punch, and I don't know if you can see that, but your crossbow hangs off your hand at a funny angle, and it just kind of doesn't work. So I was trying to figure out a way to get around that. So I put a little dagger in there so that I could get the dagger animation. And then I tried to work out shooting from there. So the bones are all one piece, and then the crystals are attached so that I could put separate... I could use that as a separate position. And I'm doing all my shooting from the weapons. The character brain has no shooting at all. So when equipped and Y, the owner, which is the person holding this dagger, shoots a fireball in the direction of the owner's forward. Because if you don't put owner, it'll be the dagger's forward, which kind of points straight down. With the offset of the owner's right hand minus the crystal shard's position, which is the large crystal shard up between the two skulls. And when you subtract the vectors like that, what you're doing is actually getting an offset that is basically at the crystal shard's position. Although it's really, in technical terms, it is a directional vector pointing from the hand to the crystal. But since I'm using the forward here, it doesn't really matter. That was just it's going to always shoot forward of the player, so the direction doesn't actually matter. I'm using sort of a dot product of it, but anyway. I'll show you how that works. And it works relatively well. I'm still tinkering with it. So I get attacks. I can use it like a melee weapon. And I can also shoot with it. And it kind of looks okay. I mean, it doesn't really stick to the hand right. But if you're running around, you can't really tell. So it's not really that big of a deal. And from there, I went to different elements, each one with a different color of gems in them. And you can pretty much, I'm just using standard effects, but you can use custom effects too, which isn't a problem. So again, lots of variation. She's got a custom mace that I really like. It's got kind of like a tribal feel. So then I took that a little further and made kind of a tribal shield. If I can get her in the screen. Actually, I'll just turn it. No. There we go. And I think everybody's seen my knight shield by now. And then I came up with this one, which I'm calling my sun shield, which I think is kind of fancy. Loop, I will get into making the weapons a little deeper in a minute. I just want to kind of show what I've got so far, because I'm just trying to spur everybody's imagination. That's really what all of my streams are about, letting people kind of see what possibilities are out there. Like this guy has custom dagger hands. Kind of Wolverine claws sort of a thing. Which, ironically, are attached to his forearms, not his actual hands, because that was the only way to make them look normal. If I attach them to his hands, then they flopped all over the place. And he seems to like them. So yeah. And I'm getting this animation because he actually has an invisible dagger in his hand. And that's the dagger attack animation. But he can attack with both hands, so he's really kind of vicious. Whoa. Some kind of strange physical or physics issue there. Everybody is probably, I don't know why this guy won't zoom in. It's strange. Got a witch. Everybody's seen this one too, probably. Now here's where it starts to get a little fancy. I made this guy today. And I think people have probably seen the energy shield that I made. My witch boss uses it, and I believe I showed it in another stream. Well, I wanted to go with that theme. So I've got this mage character, and he's actually got an energy sword as well. I don't know if you can tell. He's got sort of a hilt made of light. And then when you go to attack, I have to say I'm really pretty pleased with how this turned out. So he's sort of like a, I don't know, like a kinetic energy mage or something. No, Camillo, glue props are not one prop yet, and I cannot stress enough how awesome that is going to be once that finally rolls around. Because things like my dungeon modules and like all these people who are making custom houses out of 1,000,000 props are very, very quickly destroying the prop limit. So if you could make a giant skyscraper out of props and then glue it all together and then suddenly it's one prop, that would be amazing. So the sword. The sword is an invisible prop that is colored relatively blue that becomes visible in a hologram form. Where's it at? Oh, right here. Only while attacking. Like, only while whoever's holding it is attacking, then it's visible. And there are two effects in the hilt that create that energy hilt effect, and there's one on the tip of the sword. These two are always visible. This one right here is also triggered by the when attacking, so that it basically gives you kind of like a swoosh at the sword tip. And that's all. And then the else is whenever he's not actually attacking. He is powered off and the rest of the sword is invisible. So it's pretty simple. And then the energy shield is just kind of a burst of light prop on an invisible shield. And then there is the large effect, which is the dome. And then the small effect is the ring of light that's on the ground. Because if you just use the dome, then the bottom of it cuts off. And it's like a flat, straight line right at the edge of the terrain, and it looks really unnatural. So I guess this one didn't actually exist in alpha, but I guess I noticed that it was needed, and I am very happy about that one. So yeah. Superbike, they actually said that they're working on making glued props only count as one prop towards the prop limit. And the thing is, I don't know if anybody's ever seen this before. There is actually a maximum number of things you can grab at once. Oh, that's bright. Why is that so bright? I'm just doing this so you can tell what I'm doing. Alright, so. No, not enough yet. See? There is a maximum number of props that you can actually grab. It'll only grab this side. And I don't know how many props that actually is, but you'll see right here, this bar is your multi-select bar. So just like your total prop limit, just like your noise limit, and just like your terrain limit, there is like a maximum selection limit for one glue. However, once you do that, that becomes one prop, and then you can grab a whole bunch of other props and you can glue those too. Oh, I grabbed every damn thing. Now the other thing to keep in mind is there's currently a bug when you have too many layers of things glued and you go to resize them, it'll crash. So yeah, you can glue unlimited if you go back and glue, but there's different problems associated with that. And then it also gets confusing because if you accidentally have a brain somewhere deep down in the levels of gluing, like it actually will save the brains. So say I have a brain in one of those acorns that is, I don't know, anything, whatever, rotate. So that acorn will rotate, and then I go and I glue all the rest of these to that acorn just like this. Well, that acorn will rotate and none of the rest of the acorns will. And then when you go and look in the brain, there won't be anything there. You won't be able to edit that brain. So then if I were to put rotate in this brain of all the glued objects, that whole entire group of objects will rotate. And the original acorn will rotate its additional amount. So it'll be rotating 2 times as fast as the other one. And then if I glue even more, it'll be the same thing. You won't be able to see that brain. You will get a new assembly brain, but all the brains below that will still be in effect. So then it makes getting back in there and trying to remove anything you accidentally put in there kind of a hassle. Oh, I can resize this. It's only 1 level. So that's not going to crash. We can make some really, wow, those things get big. 13,000%. Jesus. That's big acorns. Let me make one giant acorn. I'm curious. I've actually never made an acorn bigger before. Ooh. Now that's an acorn. Okay, enough of the shenanigans. Yeah, Camille, you might as well. I could even go ahead and look into it on this stream. Talk to people how you built the stuff. Get rid of all this junk. Alright. So. Acorn House. Has anybody here seen James and the Giant Peach? Because that would be hilarious. Because we have crows, and we have those fat little, whatever you call those birds. Let's see, what direction should I put this thing? Oh, well, whatever. We can pretend. There you go. You got an acorn house. Into the pit of hell. Okay. So, somebody at... Oh, no! Her head got destroyed. I made her the most awesome hair. Let's see if I can't get in there. Come on. Come on. There we go. See? She's got, like, her hair pulled back in a bun. And a ponytail, sort of. So yeah. But you see it's a wig. Oh dear. Oh, it unattached. It must have got caught up in that gluing. Oh boy. Come on. What is happening to the camera? Okay, I'm not gonna worry about that. Nobody is saying anything in chat. Come on, guys. Alright, so somebody said, how do you make a custom weapon? Give me an idea for weapon. Excuse me. Why don't I just start with this guy here? I was kind of messing around with this the other day. I was kind of going for like a stone axe sort of thing. Pull him out here. We'll go start to finish. What? Now, as I said before, I really like to start with snap to grid on, just to get things kind of in the area of where they should be. And then you'll have to turn it off, because you're obviously not going to get everything placed perfectly. So all we have here, we have a torch, we have 2 emeralds that are gray, and they look rather like stone. Glued together, they kind of look like maybe a stone mace or something. So just to show you, since these objects here, only one of them has a hold point, I can actually just glue these together, and it will just work. It's really only when you get into objects that have multiple glue points, hold points rather. Okay, that just looks kind of stupid actually, like I'm trying to row a boat or something. Yeah, okay. So that didn't really work out so well. That thing is just not bulky enough looking. Double axe. I do actually have a double axe. Minigun. I thought of making a minigun. I will probably make a minigun once we can do custom animations, but for right now, I won't be able to hold a minigun right. But I guess I could still make it anyway. It would only take a second. Ah, rope. I want you. I choose you, rope. So, we got rope. We got gray rope. You know, I'm going to do this slightly different. I'm going to use this. No, that doesn't get small enough. I might end up having to use a coin, because none of these things, I don't understand why, but they just don't let some of the props get small enough. Like, that's freaking huge. Now, what if I want to make a bracelet or something? Well, I don't have anything that's circular. I guess we'll use a coin. As always, remember to take out the brain because you don't want weird stuff happening. Oops. And always go to fixed because anything else, weird stuff happens. I can already tell this coin's going to have to be a little bigger. Maybe like that. Alright, so this is where I switch over, and it's time to use the old mouse. So as I've said before, all the different inputs have their own strengths and weaknesses, and throwing stuff together really fast is super easy with the controller. Placing it precisely is not at all easy. The other thing, this green arrow is always the object's forward. Try to keep that in mind, because that comes in really, really handy. Oh, you're kidding me. You're kidding me. One thing I don't understand about these pull arrows. You would think the arrow would always be on its forward, so that you always drag it around by its forward, but for some reason these arrows are always in world. It would be really nice if there was a set of arrows that were object relative directions rather than just world relative directions. But there's not. And hopefully we'll get those eventually. That's the other thing the controller's bad at, is moving the camera. So let's see here. No. Where are you? It won't let me use the buttons. There we go. Not very evenly spaced. This rotate arrow is just finicky tonight. Get me my rotate. Oh boy. This minigun's gonna look like it came from a Nintendo 64 game. Well, evidently evenly spacing things is not my strong suit. I guess it could actually be easier if you could see all of the objects at once. What? Damn it. Oh, lordy. What in the world? This thing is spiting me. Okay. Okay, there we go. So, we have a bootleg minigun barrel. Now, what the heck are we going to use for the body of the minigun? Let's see what you guys are saying here. Shurikens. Remind me, I will do shurikens in a minute. Yes, those rug paddles, Shawnee, definitely. It did really look like that. Ah, why don't I use one of these? Whoa. See, this is where you gotta turn off snap to grid. Why does this look like a minigun turret? That would be amazing. If we only had a guy that was big enough to hold it. Put his... Oh, wait. That's an idea right there. So now picture this. Character slips their arm through there, and that's the handle. How cool would that be? Get like a miniature minigun fist weapon. So let's, since that's not going to work, dun, 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 dun. What else do we have? Believe it or not, oh, come on. This goofy quiver makes a very passable hand. I'll just have to do something about those, the arrowheads, or the feathered part, rather. What can I put up there? I gotta go just a smaller one of these. That's a little too boxy. I'm not real happy with that. I like that. Just need one more thing. Got to find something. I wonder what we could do with a lever. Those goofy arrows are still sticking out. That kind of looks like the hammer, wouldn't you say? Like on a flintlock? Ah, God, I hate that it zooms your camera all over the place when you go to change properties. I would say that's pretty damn cool, personally. We could actually make that thing turn, since it's a separate prop. If I grab everything... Here's another thing, I don't know if anybody has noticed, but when you grab a bunch of stuff, you can deselect too. So if you want to grab a whole bunch of junk in an area, you can get rid of specific things. Like, for instance, in a case like this, if you wanted one piece to move separately from the other pieces, you glue everything and then attach that last piece. And now I gotta figure out which... I'm gonna go with roll. I think it might be roll, but we'll find out. Nope, it wasn't roll. Well, let's try pitch. One at a time. It was not pitch. There it is. That's pretty cool. Let's take this one step further. How big would this Joker need to be for that to look the right size? So that's all right. I'm not going to bother to make it shoot the right kind of bullets because that doesn't really matter. But anyway, you get the general idea. That's how it's done. You know, it takes some more finessing the code to get it to shoot out. You could probably do something like an emote and a pace 0 so he could stand there and do a rapid fire out of the tip or something like that. There's all kinds of stuff you could do. What's dependent on which item you glued first? You mean whether or not you need roll or whatever? Because yes, that's true. Well, it's not exactly true. The first item that you grab when you're gluing becomes the center point and the pivot, but then the actual vectors are, let's use a skull. The actual vectors, like the green is forward, the red is up, and the blue is left. It's always the same. Whichever direction they're sitting in the world, whenever you glue them, affects where the vectors are going to be. So, whatever direction south is, I don't know what direction south is at the moment. But we can find out. I've been turning this level around and around, so I'm not really sure. And south. So, south is actually that way. Okay, so, just to show you how this works. The skull's forward is obviously in front of it. Okay. So I'll just move that at some random angle. And we'll just use this ball because it doesn't really matter. Move that at some random angle. And with their powers combined, forward to south. Always the same. Up, left, forward. Never changes. Can unglue it. Their forwards are back to how they were before. Forwards always south. Okay, so shurikens. Let me make some quick shurikens. Holy hell, that is an amazing shuriken already. Except, I really, what can we use for this? I'll just use a cube. Yeah, I'll just use a cube. Because it doesn't matter. Because I really want the center point to be the center point, otherwise that is not a very convincing shuriken, is it? Whoa! Now why did it move? You want to be there, shuriken. I know that you do. Oh, controller. You do have your faults. What am I doing? Looks highly bizarre. Dun, 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 dun. What the hell? Oh, I'm very dumb. All these damn things have point south in them. Why can't I grab them? Always remove the brains! I say it all the time and still forget to do it. That's what we were looking for. No gravity. Oop, hold on. Headphones are dying. Yeah, so this is actually a problem that Bob fixed for me in my witch battle. I was doing the sword throwing, and I could not make it work at all. That's hilarious. Alright, done with that. Anyway. I kill you, I kill you, I kill you. And everything else I'll save. I'm just going to zip out over to the witch, and I will show you. It's a lot more complicated than I thought it would be. So, here it is. I don't even remember how it works. It's complicated. So, whenever it becomes a projectile, it gets a Boolean, creates another Boolean, gives it 0 gravity. During the time that sail Boolean, so anytime it's a projectile, up is the velocity, I guess that's keeping it in the air. Timer. So that's delay to turn the gravity back on. And then if it bumps terrain, it turns the gravity back on. If it bumps anything else, it turns the gravity back on. And then whenever there's the gravity turned back on. And the velocity going back to normal to slow it down so it doesn't go flying off into space. And that's it. So I guess that's not as difficult as I thought it was. I just don't understand how the velocity, because this is brains and I don't understand brains. Some brains. Some brains. And this is irrelevant. That's just lighting it up when it's on the ground. So yeah. Booleans turning on and off the gravity and the velocity. There's really nothing proper. Well, I guess I could show you the one prop related thing I've got in here. So I've got this summon sword. And what that actually is, it's an invisible guy with a hologram sword. And oh, I probably should have showed you that too. It only lasts for like 10 seconds. It has a little spawning and despawning effect. Which I'll just wait here. And if you look at it closely, whenever I spawn it, it does it too. So a lot of people ask about object variables. And I realize that's not really prop related, but I will talk about it anyway, because it sort of is. To make something like this work, this guy's a template, his sword is a template. Whenever my character creates this sword, what it's actually doing is creating this invisible guy as an object variable. And then the invisible guy is creating his sword as an object variable. And then he equips it. See? Create it as an object variable, and then equip it. And that's actually all there is to it. So then the guy has a brain that tells him to seek out my enemies, and if none of my enemies are around, just to follow me around. So out of that very simple little code, you get a nifty invisible sword that will attack my enemies. Attack her. So yeah, I think that looks pretty cool personally. And we got invisible birds, and there's that energy shield. Go away, birds. So I'm trying to make my stuff really prop heavy, I guess. I want it to look nice. And those are just birds with an effect on them. And I'm finding that spark, I guess there's the spark and the spark cousin. See, it's just a bird. Well, the bird actually has a light bulb on it too, so you can't really tell. But whenever it gets close to terrain, then it has a kind of a blue glow on it. But what I was talking about, these here. Spark cousin, spark neutral, spark aggressive, spark captured. They all have an energy trail behind them. Just like the smoke trail leaves a trail. Projectile, right there. Projectile trail. All these things are extremely good for showing motion. Most of the effects are relatively stationary, except for like the running water, the waterfall, that kind of stuff. The only ones that are really dynamic are these ones that leave trails, and they're super useful. And that's all I got to say about that. Yeah, everything needs to look as good as possible. I don't know who saw this the other night. I did a stream for like an hour and a half or 2 hours or something, making this for Azro. And I'm just showing this as an example of you can make pretty much anything you can possibly dream up, even out of the existing props. Like this guy is made out of skulls, jars, a bone, some more skulls, the bird skull. The dark windshield is actually 2 pumpkin seeds. This is a, I don't know what it's called, this thing here. This alchemist, this poison potion or something, I think it's called. And then the fins are a couple of goblins, what are they called? Goblin cleavers, I guess. The wheels are these primitive rings and a coin to give it kind of a tread. And that's it. And a hood ornament that's a little dude with a pace set to 0. But yeah, so I mean that's a relatively car-like car, I would say, kind of Batmobile-like, made out of skulls and stuff. So you can make anything out of anything, and I keep reiterating that point. Don't obsess over what the object actually is, just look at the shape of it. Just sort of a sculptor's motto, I guess. That jar is the body. Just repeat it over and over again. And then colors everything. You can pretty much hide what anything is by coloring it different. Yeah, the little guy. That was kind of my finishing touch. And I didn't put a real good brain in it, but you can at least see it moving around. Yeah, okay. Enough of that. How did your creativity fail you? I honestly believe everybody can do this. It's just a matter of a lot of people, as I keep saying, they get caught up on, well, this is a jar, and that's a sword, and that's a crate. And you gotta look at it like, okay, well, the side of that barrel is kind of rounded. Well, what can I make out of that? You know, the crates are nice and square. Well, what can I make out of that? Go in here. Everybody has seen most of these already. However, I want to go back through this again. There's not a spaceship part. There's not a single part that is for a spaceship in this game, and yet here are some relatively spaceshipy looking things. What is his name? Abara or Abra or whatever, made a spaceship out of the thatch roof of a house. I mean, you can do it out of anything. These are stone. I use these shields a ton in these guys. And then a bell. The bells were pretty awesome too. These guys are made out of bells. That same poison pot, some wooden sticks recolored, that same stone ball recolored a coin. I mean, you can make anything out of anything. This guy is made out of almost entirely out of seeds. There is a sword, a goblin cleaver, and a bunch of pumpkin seeds. This guy is a sunflower seed and some pumpkin seeds and 2 fire pokers. This guy is made out of telescopes and question marks. The yellow is the question mark, which looks convincingly like pipes, I would say. This one's unfinished. That's why it looks kind of weird, but you get the idea. And also, Moose, if you're still there, you were talking about hologram the other day, about how you couldn't use it to make colors. I would just like to tell you that that is actually incorrect. Oh boy, I'm in a car. But anyway, that's a hologram, and that's a color. And it's still partially see-through. It's just a matter of there's a lot of variables you have to mess with. And I had to tinker with this probably for an hour to get the effect that I wanted. Because I had a better effect at one point, but I lost it. So every color, and there's what, 4 colors? There's primary, secondary, tertiary, and solid color. And each one of them has 4 variables. You got saturation, luminance, hue, and alpha. And all of them go from 0 to 1. And you just tinker with them. And color intensity is actually all of them at once, which kind of overrides all this. So this is not really what I was trying to make it look like, but it's what I stopped on. Another thing. Most people have probably already seen this, but again, you can pretty much make anything out of anything. This thing is made out of pieces of meat. the whole entire tail is pieces of meat, and then a stone ball, and then some rocks. And then the head of it is made out of, I think, 2 pots. And then again some stone balls, and the eyes are stone balls, and the feet are fire pokers. And then again, pumpkin seeds, because the pumpkin seeds are amazing. Just like, where is she at? The wings, pumpkin seeds. The bones in the wings are exclamation points. Hands are all rocks. Horns are rocks. You can make anything out of anything. This guy is made out of thorns. And primitives. So yeah. And that's all I wanted to say. Don't obsess over the objects. Just look at the shape. And I really, truly, truly believe anybody can do it. Just a matter of getting in there and messing around. So I guess at this point, does anybody have any requests or questions or suggestions or anything? Oh, wait. Camillo's level. Almost forgot. What'd you say it was called, Camillo? Camillo, what is your level called? Oh, never mind. Nope. Is that you, Chrome Wolf? Yes. You need to get all of your names to be the same. You can't have 10 names. No longer. I have deemed it not okay. And a mushroom carrying a giant penis is also not okay. So, props. Well, I need a ranged attack. What is that? Hello, man made of sconces. See there? We have a crazy robot goblin made of sconces and stone balls. And he's really handing it to me. Oh. I like the fancy health meter that you made all short and tall. Still have the invisible roofs. Fancy. We do have the invisible roofs, you just can't tell. They're made out of signboards now. I guess that's a little easier. Use one prop. Okay. We're going to look at some props. What do you have in here? Oh yeah, I saw these guys. You kind of stole my idea for this game called Genesis that I was making. But that's okay, because there's room enough for all of us. Well, that's pretty cool. That's his weapon? Huh. Nice. Nope, I was already in there. Nice little fireplace. Robo-goblins, which are really cool, by the way. I do actually really like these guys. That's pretty amazing. That is cool. Wow, that's cool. That, for anybody that can't tell, is a sword. And that is a shield. Very cool. What else? What do we have here? What is this thing? Like an evil trap or a teleporter or something? Fancy shield based off of my shield, I see. Another fancy shield. Any more props? Did I miss anything? I think that's it. Why do we have people on random paths? Today I would like to walk in the shape of a butterfly. Oh, it's an attack shield? That's crazy. Yeah, Adam McAdamson, he made, I guess he's making the Binding of Isaac, and he made a worm. I was helping him make a worm, and he used the trap as the mouth of the worm, so if you got close to it, it would bite you. Oh boy. That's hilarious. Come here. Fight him. Oh, it doesn't work. Still cool. That's a little bit on the large side. Fancy. I didn't notice that one had a turning back. Pretty cool. Thumbs up for sure. Alright, so, anybody else got anything prop related? Or I think I'm going to cancel this stream so I could stop recording, and then I'm going to pop back on and show you something else. What? I can't move! Whoa, that's cool. Well, speaking of props... Dang! I think we've got an upstart. Well, I don't know about that, but the projectile is amazing. I don't care. Besides being totally owned. Sorry, bud. Pick him up. Or to do anything other than bump you. I'm supposed to be bumping him. I killed him by bumping a crystal into his toe. And got 119 coins. Oh wait, whoa. Infinite coins. Too bad this doesn't give me an achievement. I'm rich! Actually, this grabbing the coins thing would be a really cool effect if we could get just that. I guess... probably we do have just that, don't we? No. Let's see. Pick up coin. interesting. Yeah, actually, I only posted it. I mean, pasted it a couple of times. And probably look better in the level. Ah, I forget. Is it not playing? Oh, it plays once. That's why. Well, anyway, I'm done with that. And it gets a thumbs up just for setting. How many versions did this guy just upload? Oh, there's 3. Okay. Just for the sake of making editing this easier, I'm going to stop streaming the